What's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video, and we are here to talk about The Walking Dead. We have the 7th episode of Season 9. We're getting somewhat close to closing out this series, and here we are. We're going to talk about the plot and the critical reception. These videos are a little bit more structured than Dave, because I'm kind of like giving my thoughts on that show as we go along, but this show obviously is already completely released. So there's a lot of things to be said about this, and a lot of things that people say about it, so let's get into it. So, at the hilltop, Tara goes over the day's activities with Jesus, revealing that Maggie decided to leave with her child Herschel and join Georgie's group, leaving Jesus in charge of Hilltop. Now, I'm not really sure why she did that. I don't think there's really any clear motives in this episode, like informing us on why she did that, but I digress. They further discuss the situation between the Hilltop and Alexandria, the two communities having refused to work together due to past events. Why can't I think of why that is? I don't know. Maybe something's missing in the storyline. Maybe there's a hole that the show failed to explain to us. I'm not really sure why that's, even a thing. But, yeah. Later, Jesus sneaks out of Hilltop and meets with Aaron, where they practice close quarters combat and discuss in private how they can help restore the trust between their two communities. So Aaron's learning how to fight. He has this metal arm, which is so badass, and I really hope they integrate that later into the season. Suddenly, they see a flare go off nearby and find a wounded Rosita needing their help. And obviously, this is for the fallout between her and Eugene going on that mission on the radio tower. They race her back to the hilltop for medical attention. So, Michonne with Sadiq and DJ take Magna's group back to their former camp, finding the shipping container they used for shelter had been upended, seemingly by a large herd. So obviously, a bigger herd than they even dealt with before they were saved came through and destroyed their camp. Luke, a former music teacher, recovers a supply of musical instruments he has collected and had stashed there just to kind of have, and just to kind of go back to his roots, I guess, which is where the title of this episode, Stradivarius, actually comes from, because it's this really old, instrument of some sort. Couldn't remember what kind of instrument. Michonne states that this will be as far as she goes and prepares to return to Alexandria, but Magna convinces her she needs to stay with them to argue their case to Maggie, because she is the higher up. Maggie is only going to listen to her pretty much. So, yeah. And I don't think Michonne realizes that Maggie isn't at the hilltop, so there's that. They find shelter for the evening in an abandoned building. Moving on to a different storyline, so Daryl leads Carol and Henry to his camp and introduces him to his dog, literally named Dog, which I found was kind of funny. But yeah, Carol fears for Daryl's health as he has not eaten much, but Daryl has become accustomed to that, and in his course of searching for Rick Grimes' body has gotten used to living on his own. That was his whole mission, that was his whole point of being out here, is that he was going to go look for Rick Grimes. So yeah. That night, as Daryl takes Dog to check his traps, they are followed by Henry. Henry is kind of curious. Obviously, he's kind of at the age that Carl was before, where they're getting really curious about the world, and they want to get out there and they want to kind of learn about some of this stuff. Dog gets stuck in one of the traps, and while Daryl frees it, they are overwhelmed by walkers again. It is just so funny that this dude's dog is literally named Dog. Yo, what's up, dog? Is that what it, were those his intentions with naming that dog? I'm not really sure. Henry steps in to help kill them. When they return to camp, Henry explains that he's learned that it is better to look at the big picture of everyone's survival than just one person, which is fair assumption. During the night, Luke scavenges from junk in the abandoned building, alerting Michonne, and when he emerges with an object, she slashes it in two. And yeah, that's where the episode title comes in. He reveals that the object was a rare Stradivarius violin that probably no one has seen since the apocalypse has started. Yeah, music geek, woo! Shout out to Fantano. One he had found earlier in their group's travels, and states that he believes that by bringing art and music back, they will be able to overcome the walkers, which is kind of an interesting theory. I'm not really sure about that one. They prepare to set out the next morning, and Michonne again states her intention to return to Alexandria, but Sadiq reveals that Maggie has long departed there. He's just now telling her, if you think Maggie is at the hilltop, you are mistaken. She is off with Georgie, and obviously a lot more people are learning about that. Word is spreading around the communities. Yeah. Before they can discuss further plans, they realize a walker horde has surrounded the building. The group efficiently dispatches the walkers until they see one they recognize as Bernie, a former member of Magna's group, and obviously Magna taking the most like emotional hit out of everyone else because apparently maybe they were in a relationship. I'm not really sure. We didn't really learn about this group prior to this, but yeah. Michonne executes Bernie with some degree of respect before they set out. She realizes how much he meant to them and, yeah, treats it like her own. And, yeah, very, very nice of Michonne. As they near Hilltop, 2 riders from the Hilltop come by on their way to Alexandria to inform them about Rosita. But since they are here, the group, including Michonne, prepare to continue to Hilltop. Connie thinks she sees something in the woods, but later says it was nothing. I think that's the sign language girl, right, Connie? We're not sure who it is in the woods. However, unseen by the convoy, someone is spying on them as they depart, and we're not sure who this is. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's kind of like a plot twist. It's kind of like a cliffhanger that the show is hopefully going to wrap up. Maybe by the end of the season, maybe by the mid-season finale. Not sure. They reach Hilltop where they reconvene with Daryl's group. Daryl learns of Rosita's injury and that Eugene is still missing. And so Aaron, Daryl, and Jesus head out in search of Eugene because like Eugene has started to become like a pretty important part of the group. Like he leads a whole community. You know, he was kind of a coward before, but obviously it's great to see like his character development. So let's talk about this episode a little bit. This video is not going to be much longer, but this was a pretty good episode. I mean, 79%, 6.03 out of 10, 16 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just kind of naming some critics here. Stradivarius officially sets the board for promising developments and provides a welcome spotlight for Daryl Dixon, but some viewers may feel The Walking Dead is sacrificing organic narrative development and stalling for time with contrivances. Like maybe they want to stall out and get as much money and make the series as long as possible. Some people kind of like interpret it as that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're just maybe they are trying to stall. Maybe they are trying to find out like what story they want to go with here, because it's really weird getting rid of Rick Grimes. Not a lot of storylines have opened up, and it's not going to be like interesting enough to make the big screen, you know. So maybe they're just putting in those storylines in there to try to figure out what's next. I don't know. But it's not going too bad. I was kind of bored watching this, I'm not going to lie. This was probably one of the more boring episodes of Season 9. And by the way, Season 9 has been great for me so far. So this is saying quite a bit, which hopefully they pick it back up. Hopefully we figure out soon who's following them in the woods. I'm out, guys. You know, leave a like, comment, subscribe. That's all I have for this video. Usually these videos are pretty short, but later tonight we have Destroy Lonely. I'm going to be talking about If Looks Could Kill, the album, and if the Lakers game's good, we'll talk about